Blog Talk Radio.
You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walking its ways, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Furman Jackson Jr. You will not be disappointed. Let's go!
Good morning to the city of Mobile, surrounding areas all across the world. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr., broadcasting again live from my hometown, my city of Mobile, Alabama. I hope everybody's having a great morning. I hope everybody's doing the things they need to take care of their bodies, take care of your family. Just stay focused with the outbreak that's going across our nation. I encourage everybody, man, get out there, start taking the proper herbs, the vitamins you need for your body, help keep that immune system strong. That's what the media is not telling everybody. They're telling you go buy toilet paper and hand sanitizer, but they're not telling you the things you need to take care of your body, help to keep your immune system build. I started back taking vitamins myself way before this came about, but thinking long term to be more health conscious. Like I said, man, get online, do some research about the proper things we need for our bodies. There's a lot of great information online. We so more focused on the negative side, but it's also some positive side to online as well. So I encourage everybody, man, get out there, do some research, go to your vitamin shops, of course, get some knowledge on that out as well. So take care of your body, man. Take care of your body, build your immune system up, keep your immune system strong. Once you keep your immune system strong, it fights off a lot of sicknesses, fights off a lot of diseases, and that's what's going on. Reason why we get so sick and we get so with all these diseases, because our immune system becomes weak and we're not taking care of our bodies properly. We got to take care of these bodies, because if we take care of our car will take care of us, right? Same way with these bodies. If we take care of our bodies will take care of us. So take this time out, invest in your body. Do that not just for you, but for your loved ones as well. If you got a girlfriend or wife, whatever, you and her get on the same page. Yeah, you start working together. If you got children together, hey, start working with your children. Let's start taking care of ourselves. It's not too expensive. Everybody says it's too expensive to eat healthy and all this other stuff. That's a lie. If we so quick to spend money on fast food, fried chicken, all the other stuff, we can start spending more money on the thing we need to take care of our bodies for the long haul. But enough about that. I have a guest on here this morning that's going to be joining me. He go by the name of Eterniti. He's a local artist here in the city of Mobile. This man is gifted from spoken word to songwriter to producer. Y'all will get to know him for the very first time. For some of those who may never got a chance to hear or experience, of course, I got one of his tracks I'm going to play on the show this morning as we get done with the interview. So if you haven't heard his music, you will get to hear his song that he sent to me the other day, for those who may have never heard his music before. So I'm about to get this interview off this morning with my guest, and I just want to say welcome to Walking This Way's Impact Voice.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good this morning. I thank you, my brother, for taking time out to be the schedule, to be a part of the broadcast with so much stuff going on in our nation. But we don't stop living. Life still goes on. Like I tell anybody, man, take the things you need to do to take care of yourself. Not just you, but the loved ones as well. So I appreciate you taking time out to be the schedule.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. I appreciate the invite.
And I appreciate you, too, as well. That means a lot. Moving there, keep this interview off, man. I'm excited. I'm thank you for you accepting the invitation to be here on Walking This Way's Impact Voice. And my first question, I ask my guests all the time, and I ask them about them first. So my first question is, who is DeAndre Buck?
I think it's funny that you asked that, only because this is probably the first interview I've done that's actually asked me that. I'm really a chill individual with a gift of gab, if I'm being honest. I think I've come to realize recently me as a person is completely different from Eterniti. I'm a wrestling fan, man, so like in wrestling they always say that the best characters are yourself. with the volume turned up, basically. For me, it's kind of the opposite. Eterniti does give me a voice that, Dre might not necessarily talk about in the open. It wasn't until Facebook made me change my name for real that people kind of started to see the differences and kind of separated the two. Because, and that's just my opinion. I've been Eterniti to a lot of people for so long that I can be kind of introverted, believe it or not. I think a lot of the times when it's most obvious is when I come off of stage, because I go straight into like a decompression mode, and people always ask me, man, what's wrong? Like, hey, absolutely nothing is wrong. I've been high energy for the last 2.5, 3 hours. I need 5 minutes to kind of come down and just take a few moments to myself and just breathe. Because that's me. So I think that's a good way to define who I am as a person as opposed to who Eterniti is.
And that's what I know you mentioned that you're a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestling fan myself, been one since my childhood, and I still watch it to this day. I love a lot of the old school stuff. Thank God for YouTube that go back, do research, also WWE Network as well. Got a lot of old school stuff. So I watch it to the T. So I'm with you on that one.
All right.
And then my next question is, when do you discover your love for music?
I was probably about 10. I had a grandfather that was a jazz musician. Most people grow up in a gospel household per se. The gospel music or the blues music is on, and they're playing while they're cleaning. Like I said, I had a jazz grandfather, man. So jazz was heavy in the household because I spent my weekends a lot of the time with my grandparents. And because he was a jazz musician, he was a really avid listener. Everybody was stuck in the room until Granddaddy was done cleaning. And what I would end up doing was, because the music filled the house, I normally would just take like a pen and a piece of paper and just kind of write little things and little quips off of the music that he was playing every Sunday. And when I was in middle school, some friends and we used to always spend like the last little time we had from our lunch break hanging outside, and No Limit was real popular during the time, so we would always pick the songs that had a bunch of parts to them. Everybody would have a part, and eventually 5 of us that used to be in that little group, we actually formed a group for a talent show in middle school, and the rest they say is history. So that's where it started, and I've been running with it ever since.
And that's what's up right there. I remember No Limit at that time. They was No Limit. They were dropping CDs like they were dropping Jordans every week. But they were sweeping the nation, especially here in the South, and they inspired a lot of artists, especially here in our city, with that style of music.
Absolutely. I think around 96 or 97, they probably dropped 22 albums. 22 albums in a year. Like that is unheard of. This was before. I can't say before Cash Money, but it was. No Limit was on top, and they had so many hot artists at the time because if I'm not mistaken, right around that time was probably when Juvenile's Ha came out, and Cash Money was more. If you weren't, I won't say local, but if you weren't from the South and really into those underground kind of hip hop artists, tapes, things like that, then you really didn't really know much about Cash Money. Ha was probably one of their first mainstream songs, but at the time, if you turned on the radio, if you heard Ha, you probably heard 10 No Limit songs for that one Cash Money song. But yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, that's true, because I know when it was making noise in the South, of course, you had Atlanta, because you had So Def, you had Jermaine Dupri and all them boys out there doing their thing. And also you had Houston, you had the Ghetto Boys, Scarface, all them, Jay Prince would rap a lot, Tila and all them were making noise. But out of New Orleans, they just brought a different sound, and Pete them took it to another level. Because I think up north, if you from the South, they really weren't playing your music. I think Pete was actually the first song that started playing in New York, the Ice Cream Man. I think that was the first song that started playing up in New York, because they really weren't respecting the artists here in the South.
All right, I absolutely agree. I think that I think it's amazing how over time how that culture changed, especially in terms of hip hop. And not to say that it per se changed, I'll say evolved. I'm always reminded when Outkast won their award and they said the South got something to say, and like that was it. that was almost like the opening the door, like we can do this. And it gave inspiration to a whole generation of artists that may have felt like they wouldn't have a voice, or people wouldn't hear them. And I'm thankful for everybody that did this before me, that gave me inspiration, because otherwise, I might have never just been like, I might have just gave up because of frustration or something of that nature. So I think P opened the doors for a lot of Southern artists, and he inspired a whole generation of youth like myself and other people around, that time frame. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that's what's up on that, because P also took it to another level. He was teaching. I think what P did, what another artist never did, he actually got a distributor deal with Priority. He never did a record deal. He got a distributor deal, because I think he wanted, 100% of his music belonged to him. It's a way that P set it up, and he also, I know he teaches other artists how to do the same thing, get a distributor deal, where they own all the rights to your music. Because P, I think a lot of artists was with No Limit. They was the first artists who had their own houses, they had their own cars, their own bank account. People setting them all up for future generations of wealth with their music. And to this day, P still teaches a lot of up and coming artists how to take full control of their music.
Right. It's I remember watching an interview with him, and he said that Priority wanted to pay him, I think, $1 million. And in his mind, most people would jump for $1 million, like, oh man, that's $1 million, I'm gonna sign, yeah. But P thought differently, He was basically like, if they think I'm worth $1 million, how much am I really worth? And those stick with you, and even if you think about it, man, even today with some of these newer artists, we just heard about the whole Megan Thee Stallion situation. The industry is tricky. The industry is tricky, but it's changing too. And I feel like that's just kind of part of what we do. The industry evolves. It's easier for artists to do so much on their own now. You just have to be able to take the time out, hustle, grind, and get the knowledge to make it work. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah, it's good. It's good information. There's a ton of it out there. You just have to be able to do the work. It's out there for the people that really want it. So yeah.
And I agree with you on that 100%. My next question is the name Eterniti. What made you go with that name?
So Eterniti was born after my grandfather passed. So when my original group, we would call it Southside Soldiers, because once again, No Limit was the thing at the time, man. And right after the group formed, like talked about the talent show. We did the talent show. That was probably March or April of '97. I lost my grandfather in '97, the same one that was like the jazz musician. So Eterniti actually means time after death. Or that was the dictionary definition. And therefore I felt like if I was going to honor the person that gave me the energy to even do this to begin with, I needed a name that would fit. And for me, that was it. The reason I spell it with the I, not a Y, is because everybody in the group originally had soldier names, but we all spelled them differently. Mine was Mercenary, hence why the label's called Merciless Minds. That's an extension of that. But I spelled it with an I on the end. So I kept the I, but I changed the rest of the name, changed my entire name, but kept the I kind of as a homage to my original name plus the new name. So that's how Eterniti came together. And it just that it was fitting for me. So that's how it worked.
And that's what's up on that, having that uniqueness to it. And I know we're not blind to what's going on right now in our nation, of course. And we know that the coronavirus is sweeping our nation, of course. It's stuff that's going on, and not taking it lightly. Some people say, you taking it lightly, this stuff. I mean, I encourage anybody, and you do study, if you start Googling stuff you need for your body, vitamin C, all that stuff is good for our body, help build our immune system up. And I'll tell anybody, they're not really telling you that. They're telling you, go buy toilet paper, hand sanitizer, but they're not telling you the proper things you need for your body. But with the coronavirus outbreak, how you been handling the situation?
I tell you, it's wild because when we started the interview off, I kind of talked about being introverted, and I like to be that way, but oddly enough, I like to do it in small extroverted spaces. So, I have my normal routines or normal spots that I would go to. I hadn't been able to go to those, so it's kind of it's been a little sobering if I can be honest with you. The one thing about it though is that at least I'm still at work. That job hadn't shut down yet, so between work and then the traditional grocery store, convenience store, whatever, that's been about the only thing keeping me in some type of normalcy pattern. I think I was actually gearing up to do a set of shows for the Experience album, and not particularly a tour because I had something different in mind. But of course, that had to be canceled. I look at my friends who do this full time, and they're having to cancel full tours, and that's just I think that hurt. It hurts in general, man. And being honest with you, the support in some arenas as far as like, purchasing albums, purchasing merchandise, all of that has been great. It's just not enough for me to go full time. So like I said, I am grateful that at least I am still be able to be working. And the only other thing that really kind of shook me off is I got a birthday coming up in about 2 weeks, and it don't look like I'm going to be able to do anything. Most of those plans had to get canceled because of it, postponements and things of that nature. But I'll be honest with you, man, I'm disappointed, but I won't complain. It's better to be safe than sick, and I'm making sure that I'm taking care of myself, sticking to my workout routines, drinking my water, taking my vitamins. Sounds like a Hulk Hogan promo, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, but just staying healthy, man. I'm really just using this time to create and get closer to God. That's all I can really do right now. So I'm going to take it as it is and just see how the cards play out.
Yeah, and that's what's up on that. And I'm doing the same thing myself because I know my birthday is next month, and I'll be 38 years old. But the thing about it is just grinding, staying focused, and just take this time out to enhance your your knowledge. It's always a positive side to everything. A lot of people say, hey, this is the time you take time out to spend time with your family, get to know what's going on with them, to get to know what's going on with you, build that bond again. Because we so much on the go when it comes to the things of life, working, if you're in school, you studying. We got so much. If you're an entrepreneur, you grinding with your business. So it's always so much stuff going on. So I'm like this, take advantage of the opportunity to get better, get wiser, and that's all we can do. Then my next question is, what is your motivation?
So when I was younger, my motivation was to be successful, mostly because I just wanted to be able to give back. I wanted to be able to build my mom and my dad a house because I felt like they deserved, a house, and they wouldn't have to worry about no bills and real vacation, man, because all they did was work. A lot like myself, I didn't take many vacations as a kid unless I took them with maybe like my grandparents or my uncle. And I'd be honest, I don't really take a whole bunch of vacations now because, like I said, my parents were hustlers. I'm a hustler. And I know you have to take some time out to yourself to regrind and to re-up and recoup and just kind of get your mental stability in order. But I've just always been that way. So I took a lot of my work ethic from them. Then, too, I had a grandmother who had multiple sclerosis. So I was like the kid that wanted to fix everybody. I wanted to find a cure for multiple sclerosis. But now it's just me. And I got a few family members left. But so I grind for myself, man. I want to be able to push forward, living a life that is, I say carefree, but financially independent, where anxiety can be next to non-existent. You don't have to live check to check. I want to be married one day. I want to have a family. I'm about to be 35, and I've been blessed with some amazing opportunities, and me doing the poetry, me doing the music professionally for as long as I've been doing it, and I really just feel like I'm getting started. I feel like people are starting to take to the newer art that I'm creating, and it's more me. I think a lot of times early, my motivation was to do what I needed to do to be successful for other people. Now I'm doing what I need to do to be successful for me. The art that I make now makes me a lot happier than the art that I used to make, because almost sometimes we try to force art to be what other people want it to be because we want people to listen to it. But I've come to realize that people make the art that I create really for myself because it allows them to be able to see the person behind the character, if you will. And it evolves. It evolves, literally. You know, my last, the album before ThEEXXXperience was called Evolutionary, and that's really what it was. It was a departure from the normal type of music that I made, and I lost some people, I gained some people. But, you know, I'm, as someone who is in their mid-30s, that sounds weird to say. As somebody that's in their mid-30s, you know, I can't make the same type of music that I was making when I was 17, 18, 19 years old. It just doesn't work.
Right.
We have to grow. And as I get older, I get wiser. My life experience has changed. And that becomes my motivation to do more, to be more in my community, to be more active as a leader in any organizations that I'm in, whether in anything that I do. I just always want to be somebody that people can look up to and that people respect. And as long as you ain't, like they say, you ain't got to like me, but you're going to respect me. And so, not that other people's acknowledgement is the motivation for me to do the things that I do. However, it's nice to be recognized when you think people aren't watching you. And I've been receiving a lot of that lately. People just coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, man, I see what you're doing. Keep grinding. It's like, dude, I didn't even know you knew what I was doing. And that feels good. And that's just that extra motivation to just keep pushing and grinding and doing what I do. So, yeah.
And that's what's up. Like you said, no, with you being 35, you know, always growing. And that's a good thing with growing within your music because like you said, your experience has changed, your whole focus changed. So your music's going to change as well also because what a 35-year-old still rapping about game bang and things like that stuff is over with. But talking about mature stuff, like just like I'm at the just listen to artists that's got that conscious music type atmosphere, that's speaking with knowledge, that's speaking with wisdom, that's giving the audience knowledge and all that foolish stuff. A lot of artists today, I don't listen to a lot of new age artists because they talk about that foolish stuff. But I grew up on the artists of like the Nas, the Jay-Z's, the P. I grew up in that era of music. That's all I know. And their music still sound good to this day in 2020.
Right.
And that type of stuff I still listen to this day. Like artists like yourself, I know you sent me your track, and we're gonna play that this morning too. The story about. So we're gonna play it this morning before we get off the air, so people can better get a chance to listen to it if they haven't heard it yet.
Okay.
When it comes to your music, what do you want to listen to gain from your music?
I just really want people to take away stories that I leave in most of my music. You know, I try not to make mindless music. You know, and I think in general, I just want I want to give people something that they can feel, not just groove to, not just the beat. I talked about that, once before in a record where it's like do people pay attention to lyrics anymore? I think it's funny how people talk about J. Cole puts them to sleep. J. Cole is one of my favorite artists, so I guess, maybe some of my music puts some people to sleep. But to me, it's because J. Cole talks about things. There are artists who, the way that they deliver messages and stories, they have a way of talking about things, and I want to be placed in that same lane, at least the same lane. I ain't got to be in the same category, but I want to be in the ballpark for it. And honestly, I think that because of the type of music that I make, it's a blessing and a curse, because I'm kind of in my own lane, and I've stayed here for a while. So it may not touch as many listeners as, somebody that, talking about something that is for the club, or, it's got a club beat, or something they could ride to, or something they could tour, or whatever the case may be, man. But I think that the type of music that I make attracts the right kind of attention, and that's all that matters to me. A lot of my songs also can be interchanged as poems, and poetry has taken me into arenas that hip-hop could never. So people sleep on what I do a lot, But as long as I can wake a few people up, whether it be the message that they need to hear or a message that they want to hear, as long as they get the message, I'm happy. I have no complaints.
And that's what's up right there, because somebody is going to take heed to it, and that one person going to pass it on to somebody else is always that chain reaction, because all it takes is just one individual to take it and pass it on to someone else. Your music. Where can the listeners get your music?
You can find all of my music primarily at my website. It's MrEverlasting.com. I also have my last two projects on my Bandcamp. That's Eterniti, ETERNITI.bandcamp.com. I recently started using Bandcamp with this last album, but my back catalog is definitely on my website. So, yeah.
Okay, then. That's what's up. So, y'all heard it there, ladies and gentlemen. Get the information you're getting this morning. Encourage, support Eterniti and what he's doing. I respect what you're doing, especially here in our city. Like I tell anybody, we got a lot of gifted men and women here in the city of Mobile. So don't sleep on Mobile, everybody. We got a lot of talented brothers and sisters here that's out there. They're doing the right thing. They're grinding. They're putting in work. And support these guys. Support these artists. And I know it does take money to do things. Pay for their talent. Pay for their services. It's more than just, well, let me get the freebie. But I encourage anybody, and I produce myself. I pay for anything. Like, I had a book author. I paid for a book. I had a lot of people I buy stuff from. I don't believe in freebies, because I believe in sowing seed. And I encourage anybody, man, if you go out there and go buy $200 pair of Jordans, you can go and purchase a CD for like $10, $15 from the artists here in the city of Mobile. So get behind them, support them. Trust me, you're going to get all that back. Sowing seeds in other people's lives, that's what it's all about. My next question is, you have any more music in the works?
Well, so I just released the album in February. ThEEXXXperience actually dropped on Super Bowl Sunday. It's probably the first time I've ever released a combination poetry hip-hop album. And, It's all erotic, because it's something that the women in my fan base have been kind of clamoring for. So it placed me into an even larger arena. It did way better than I can't say it did. It's doing way better than I thought it could be. And it's growing that fan base, and I appreciate that, because who doesn't want beautiful women listening to their music and promoting it and supporting it? We released Pandora's Box, and I think within a week I had like 400 new followers on, social media, a ton of friend requests, things like people trying to find you. So I know it's reaching somebody. As far as the new music, I'm always writing, man, and with this coronavirus thing going on, there's no telling what could come out of it. I don't believe in rushed art, though. I talked about that whole evolutionary album. I actually had that album title for 7 years. I had it for 7 years, and people used to always ask me, like, when are you going to do your evolutionary album? I'm just like, it's not the right time. I just kept saying that it's not the right time. I know when the time is right, it's not the right time. And when the time was right, the climate was right, if you know what I mean. When that album came out, it had messages that dealt with a lot of stuff that we were dealing with in this country. And it was just right at that time. And like I said, I do plan on working on some new stuff, because this whole Mr. Everlasting persona and things of that nature has given birth to a new style and a new era and new energy in general. So all I can say is that my hashtag is always stay tuned. So I'm going to just say stay tuned, man. You never know what's going to come out.
And I love that spirit about you. You said you don't like to rush anything. I respect that. Somebody need to hear that again. Don't like to rush anything, because I believe in the spirit of excellence, of course. If you're a Bible believer, the Bible tells us not to be slothful in business, but fair in spirit. So I believe slothfulness is a sin. Can't be slothful and you can't handle your business, of course. Years ago, Dr. Dre did an interview, and he was criticizing his own work. It's at that time when everybody was expecting the Detox album to come out, and Dre was criticizing his own stuff. Dre said, "Nah, it ain't right. The production was off. The artist was off." He was saying this on a live interview. It's on YouTube. You can actually pull up and find it. But I respect that he would criticize his own work. He would let him know, hey, it ain't time. It ain't ready yet. He was criticizing his own stuff, and I respect that about Dr. Dre with his work ethic. They said when you work with Dre in the studio, you're gonna be putting in some work. And if it ain't right, he gonna make you start all over again. So I respect where you coming from, attorney, with your work ethic and how you know don't want to rush anything.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, it's just rushed art to me isn't good art. And I used to be that guy, man. I used to set deadlines, and I mean, just in general, I used to set these things where it was like, yeah, gotta have this out by this time, and I gotta have this by this. And then I found myself just detracted because it didn't sound the way I wanted to, but I felt like I had an obligation to fans. And one thing I learned, man, is that if you don't, they always say more work, less announcements. And I take that to heart. So if I'm not about to gear something up, I try not to over talk about it until it's done. Don't count the chickens before the hat, so to speak. So yeah, definitely.
And that was up on now. And my next question is, what artists would you love to have a collaboration with, and why?
Oh man, there's so many. I talked about J. Cole earlier. I think if I could go on tour with anybody, so these are people that I would love to tour with as well as make music with. And I mean, I'm talking about like J. Cole, Childish Gambino. I'm a huge fan of Childish Gambino. Switching it up, I like Jhené Aiko. I've always been a fan of Bone Thugs and Harmony. I actually had a chance to open up for Bone Thugs a couple of years ago, and that was a joy, man. But I've always been a fan of Busy Bone in particular, so I'm still trying to get that song to make happen. Lupe Fiasco, Jadena, because I love his energy. To see Jadena, and people say we twins. Not so much since I cut my hair, but I tell you what's funny. I actually saw him in New Orleans at the House of Blues, and he did this song where he jumped into the audience and kind of looked at me crazy, like doppelganger type style. So that was kind of like a cool moment, if you will. And believe it or not, man, I am a huge fan of like Wiz Khalifa. So I would love to make a record with Wiz Khalifa. All of these are artists that just inspire me or that I vibe to. Like I said, I'm kind of a chill guy. Most of those artists that I named kind of make chill music or knowledge music and things of that nature. And I just feel like if I made record with those, I'd make better art with those artists who are just as chill. You talked about sowing seeds, and I've got a lot of artist friends that I respect that I haven't done collabs with. I got my homie Big Low, my homie Marcel P. Black, Landon Wordswell, Jamal Steele, The Strangers. All of these are people who are making amazing underground music. Or I won't even say underground, I'm going to say independent, because like my guys, Black and Low, man, these guys tour sometimes 2-3 times a year, even Landon, man. And I'm not talking about short tours. I'm talking about literally nationwide tours with 20-30 dates. So they're making moves, man, and that's what I aspire to be, to where people know who I am. They want to book me. I can do music full time and not have to try to do that whole work-life balance thing, because they always say if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. Well, man, I love music. I love to create, and I love art. And that's just kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah.
And that's what's up right there. And my last and final question before we get ready to play Pandora Box. And after I ask you this last question, I want you to explain to the audience what Pandora's Box is about before we play the track this morning. And my last and final question is, and I ask it to my listeners, my guests all the time, what do you want your legacy to be?
Okay, so I talk about you want to talk about Pandora's Box first, or you want to talk about the legacy?
The legacy.
Okay, so I guess, man, I just want to leave the world better than I entered it. I mean, period. With the wealth of education and talent that God has given me, I think it'd be a shame to not kind of leave my mark on this world in some form or fashion. I don't think He gifted me all of these talents to not do anything with them. So I just want people to say that Eterniti was creative. He was intelligent. I've as cliche, I guess, as it sounds, there are things that I used to do when I was younger that are kind of starting to just catch on or have caught on in the last few years. And I think one of the greatest compliments anybody's ever given me was that I was ahead of my time on making art and making music. You know, I just want to be, you know, a good friend, a good brother, loyal, dedicated. You know, I work hard. I knew how to party. I partied hard. I was the life of the party. Just in general, that whole kind of vibe, man. Just I want to be somebody that people remember, and that leave an impact wherever they go. And in general, that's who I am, and that's what I want to do.
And that's what's up, man. And like I said, keep doing what you're doing. Keep grinding and things like that. And also Pandora's Box. Explain to the audience what Pandora's Box is all about before we get ready to play the track.
So Pandora's Box is a very intimate record. Like I said, you know, the experience was born because I'm a poet. Normally, I don't really make erotic music, if you will. I usually kind of leave that to the poetry. But I had some ideas and decided to kind of put them together. It is a foray into BDSM and lifestyle culture, honestly, for women. And like we shot the video for Pandora's Box, and that meant a lot to me because of the fact that when it came time to release a first single for ThEEXXXperience, I didn't really know which one I wanted to go with. And, you know, how people use samples in records. So what a lot of people don't know is that the chorus is a sample of one of my own songs from my first album that I released in 2012. So the voice that you hear on the sample is actually me. And it's saying, girl, let me get the key to that box. I promise to be gentle as I unlock the lock. That comes from a song called Name Brands that I released. And we had a video for that one too. So it's kind of homage, you know, dealing back 8 years when I first started my company, my first album underneath my own imprint, my own label. And when I was promoting myself and producing myself and just doing everything to try to save some money and still put out quality art. And this is what came from it. It started off kind of as a poem. I had a director who heard the song, had a vision. It bloomed from there. And when we dropped the video, everybody was like, oh, wait a minute, this is different. And the reaction and the love that I've gotten from it has been tremendous. And that's kind of how Pandora's Box came to be. You know, it is literally what it sounds like, you know, and if you need a visual representation, you can always go check out the video. I know you shared it, so y'all make sure y'all go check that out. You can follow Eterniti on Facebook. ThEEXXXperience on Twitter is actually spelled the same way as the album title. That's where that comes from. So yeah, we just trying to make some magic happen and improve some relationships, man, and introduce some new stuff to people who may need some different stuff in their life. So yeah.
And that's what's up right there. And like I said, we're about to get ready to play Pandora's Box. We're about to get ready to sign off here on Impact Voice. So we're about to get ready to kick the track off. So those who haven't heard it yet, we're here for the first time. So we're about to get ready to play Pandora's Box. So y'all check out the track. Enjoy.
Good evening, sir. How may I be of service to you tonight?
Baby, you got what I want, and I got what you need. Let me open up Pandora's Box when you take heed. If you wanna take this journey, your spirit I can free. But I want if you let me, hope you can come handle the speed. This ain't no one-time thing, this isn't for no play. Eternity, but I'm giving you vibes like this shit great. I wanna know if I can tie you up, but you know what I prefer. Switching positions, got you flipping and calling me sir. Professional at what I do, so get the contract. Yo, I'm no chiropractor, but I'm about to crack your back. Everything you never knew you need is going down tonight. I hope you got to say we're ready now. Let's take a flight. Have your elevator hanging in the sky and then blowing on cloud 9 in ecstasy. You be falling in love, making love to me. Now, girl, what's my name?
Eterniti.
Baby girl, let me take you to a place that I know you never been before. And I already know what you're really thinking in the back of your mind. You really wanna take shit slow, so let me go to another level of passion. I'm not always in the mood for smashing. It's the lyrical assassin, Mr. Mercenary, yes, Mr. Everlasting. Make love to your mind one step at a time. When we get to grinding, put you on the front line. Just out with you and thinking, if you can think you don't trust me, I'ma start thinking. Gotta play with my favorite number 4 ways. Make you start a storm in the sheets. There's no way I'll accept defeat. I wanna face you, see and see everything that you got a heart for me. Baby, come to me, tell me what's on your mind. I really wanna know how to get inside. Multiple levels of contact, multiple orgasms back to back. You gotta play for size, so here comes the food. Chocolate and whipped cream, yeah, that's cool. If you wanna know the truth when it comes to me, see nothing compares to honey. It's sweet as thick, eagle, come and lick me, and I can lick you. So know what you wanna do. Say you want more, say you're feeling for me. Baby, take you to a place you wanna be. Every elevator higher than the sky and D. Blowing on cloud 9 in ecstasy. You'll be falling in love, making love to me. So girl, what's my name?
Welcome back. That was Pandora's Boss by Eterniti. That was a dope track, my brother. I thank you for sending here on the airways so everybody can check out your work, what you're doing. I appreciate you. So in turn, do you have any final remarks for our listener viewers before we get you off the air this morning?
I just want to say thank you for having me. Thank y'all for listening, and y'all make sure that y'all continue to support this radio, all the podcasts, everything that your creative friends are doing. Now is a great time for creatives to create, and it's an even greater time for you to catch up on it and support it. So just always remember that the people you see on these TVs doing these things, that they didn't get there by themselves. Somebody had to support them. Support always starts at home, and just continue to remember that if you want these same people to have that type of success for these people that you support, that you got to support them from the ground up, and that's all that matters, man. I appreciate you for having me.
And I appreciate you too as well. We're about to get ready to sign off here this morning. I hope everybody have a great day, of course. Be productive today. Like I said, man, take proper precaution for your body. Always be encouraged. If you have a gift, you have a goal, you have a dream, which we all do, master them goals, master those dreams. Reach out, do some research, go to the bookstore, get some books, get some knowledge. It's wealth of knowledge. There's so much stuff we could be doing right now, ladies and gentlemen. Not just all the negative, but also in the positive. So brush up on your skills, tighten up your skills, step your game up. Every year, we should always get better year after year after year. Even the great Dr. Miles Monroe, if everybody's not familiar with him, he always said every year we should get better. So I encourage everybody, man, get better. Every year turn, we should get better. We should get wiser within the time. So I encourage everybody, man, study, grind, focus, be purpose-driven. This is the time. This is the season. This is the time. This is the hour right now to get everything together. While so much stuff is being shut down, still being put in work. The Bible said in season and out of season. So always work, always grind. Keep putting in work. Reach your goal, reach your dream. Let me tell you about this. It's not going to come out of the sky. It's not going to drop in your lap. You have to make the first step to achieve your goals, achieve your dreams. Like experience right here, like Eterniti, he's living. He turns his dream into a reality, and you see the manifestation of his work. So support many artists like him. There's a lot of artists, not just locally in our city, but around the world that you see that's out there trying to put in work to put a message out for this generation. So I want everybody to have a great day, have a great morning, and I'll see y'all next time here on Walking His Ways Impact Voice. Be blessed, everybody. Peace.
You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walking His Ways, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Myndz Jackson Jr. You will not be disappointed.